Hi scholars, I just wanted to send you some general feedback in response to your informative speech you gave a couple of weeks ago. These are some things that I noticed across the board, and so I wanted to address them in one big video. First of all, you may have noticed that in addition to your grade and your written rubric next to your grade, this speech I went back and I gave video feedback to each and every student. That's why this took a little bit longer for me to grade than normal, and I apologize for the wait. Hopefully this video feedback will give you some specific information to consider, and my students in past semesters seem to like that a little bit better than just receiving written feedback all of the time. I'm not sure I could do it for every speech because it is time consuming, but I did want to do it for at least one. Speaking of giving feedback, when you give feedback to your assigned student speaker, please make sure you're actually discussing the content of their speech. Was it organized? Did they cite their sources appropriately? And look at delivery of the speech, making eye contact with their audience, using their notes effectively, the strength and volume of their voice. Those things need to be commented on, not just, hey, your video was a little dark, so you might want to work on that. In order to grow, we need to learn what our mistakes are, and we need to learn how to fix them. And so please don't be hesitant or shy about giving good, well-rounded feedback. Of course, you also want to tell the speaker what they did well so they can know that this is something they need to continue. When you are posting your YouTube video to the assignment page, please make sure that you post the video, you paste it in there, and then you hit enter to make the video link active. So for instance, let's say I choose this particular video. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to go into, let's pretend this is the assignment page. I'm going to paste it. Most of you are leaving it like this. Instead, I want you to hit the space bar or enter. You make that link live, then we can see your video in that page, on that page, without having to copy that link and put it into another open tab, another open link. And so make sure that you hit enter after you paste your video link to make it live. Okay. So also, just checking my notes on things to remind you of, make sure you have 4 live adult human audience members. You will not get credit on speeches if you have any less. And so some of you were trying to do 3 audience members. I know this is a difficult part of this class, but you get to you have to trade something out. So you have this online class, it's flexible, you can do it on your own pace, but one of the things you trade off for that flexibility is this requirement that you gather your own audience. And so that's very important. We need to have that minimum in order to meet a minimum standard of public speech. A public speech is not given to 1 or 2 people. All right, when you cite your information in your speeches, you want to make sure that you're actually giving the information you're giving the name of the source as you're sharing the information. So within the body of your speech, you should be saying things like, according to the American Heart Association, we should eat 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day for a heart-healthy life, okay? So I'm sharing the information I got from that source, and I'm also sharing the name of that source. Now, many of you are doing this really well. However, some of you are not doing it at all. You didn't have any sources. And then some of you are putting a list of your sources at the end of your PowerPoint slides. I do not want this. I do not like this. And so don't do that. Incorporate those sources out loud during your speech as you are presenting the information. Another thing to be considerate of is the time requirement. So most times when you're asked to give a speech, whether in a professional setting or an educational setting, there's an expectation of how long that speech should be. You need to find that out and then prepare your content to meet that time requirement. If you're asked to give a 5 to 7 minute speech and you talk for 20 minutes, you're going to lose the audience. They are going to start focusing on how much longer is this person going to speak, right? And so there's an expectation of time that needs to be met. You can tell the speakers who have prepared and have practiced and timed their speeches based on whether or not they stay within the time requirement. Now, I know that's difficult because many of you have so much to say about your topic, and so that's where editing comes into play. Now, on the flip side, if you are asked to give a 5 to 7 minute speech and you speak for 2 minutes, then that also sends a message that you just didn't prepare enough content. And so both are undesirable. So really really strive to shoot for meeting the time requirement of your speech assignments. Please eliminate distractions in your environments in which you give your speech. And so what we're trying to do is mimic a professional environment for you. I know it's in your home, or it's at work, or maybe it's in a church, but you really want to work on eliminating distractions. You would not come to your speech event in a classroom barefoot, and so don't do that at home when you give a speech. You would not have crying babies in the background, no matter how cute or sweet they are. And so really try to eliminate background noise. We would not have the radio or the television on in a professional setting when someone is giving a speech. So make sure those things are turned off. I know it's difficult to control some of these environments, especially if you're not necessarily the person in charge of that home environment, but please impress to your audience the importance of creating or mimicking a professional, quiet environment in which your speech is the only activity going on. Okay. Another quick thing about content of the speeches, make sure you're transitioning in between your points. And so a transition sentence is basically a sentence that wraps up what you were talking about and leads the audience into the new topic. And so a transition sentence may be something like, so now that we've talked about the benefits of yoga, let's discuss some of the basic moves that anyone can practice. And so we're wrapping up this point and moving into this next point, and everyone can follow us because we've got a nice transition between those 2 points. Something to be aware of. The final thing I want to talk about, it concerns PowerPoints. So when you are designing your PowerPoint, please make sure and review in the speech preparation module some of those PowerPoint guidelines. First of all, you should have a title slide. Second of all, you should have no full sentences on your slides. This rule was broken quite a bit, and so if you had full sentences on your slide, please know that that is not the way we want to do it. We don't need full sentences in front of us on our speaker notes, and we don't need full sentences beside us on our PowerPoint, because what happens if there's full sentences anywhere in the vicinity of the speech? Well, we tend to start reading from them. And if they're up beside us, our audience is going to start reading from them. And so that's not good. That goes from a speech to more of a public reading, which is a very different thing. Your voice changes, your eye contact changes, multiple things are influenced, and so we want to stay away from reading. So therefore, we want to stay away from full sentences. And so if you want to put text on your slides, you can do something like this. Let me move myself out of the way here. You need a title on every slide, you can have a picture, and you can have bullet pointed information, very broad. You're the one that provides the details. Your slides should not provide the details. They provide the overview that supplements your details. So that keeps you as the main focus of the speech because you are the provider of all the interesting information, and the PowerPoint just supplements you. It should not take away from you. If you want to have a slide with multiple pictures, that's fine. Just make sure they're easy to see, they make sense, they relate to the topic, and that they're arranged appropriately. And so a lot of times people would leave their slideshow in this mode and they would start presenting and then they would have to click on each slide. Here's a better way. You want to put your PowerPoint into presentation mode. And so there's multiple ways to do this, but the overall general way is to go to slideshow and then from beginning. I don't know if it'll do it in this particular type of recording. Okay, it's thinking about it. There we go. And so now your whole screen is just the slideshow. And all you have to do is click the space bar to go to the next slide or to click the left mouse button. And so you just click once and the next slide comes up, and then you click once again and the next slide comes up, etc., etc. And so that's going to be a much better way to present your PowerPoint than in this mode, which is more of the design mode. And that way you don't have to click on particular slides here, but you can just click the space bar and your PowerPoint advances exactly where it needs to go. All right, so those are some general things that I wanted to discuss with you. I don't want you to think that all of these things were negative. There was a lot of positive things going on. I really saw a lot of you get more comfortable and confident in your speech. I also saw many of you doing things really well. Great outlines were turned in. There was some really good PowerPoints. You had a good sense of professionalism across the board. And so we definitely want to keep doing those things well. But the things that I discussed today in the video, I just wanted to make everyone aware of, because it happened, many of these things happened multiple times, and so I thought it justified a little video. All right, so that's all for now. I will probably be making a little video about the team presentation here over the next few days, or maybe after spring break, because there's some questions that people keep coming up with. Please know that everything you need to know is in that team presentation assignment. I know it's a long assignment, so just take time and read it. But if you have any particular questions, just let me know, and might be making a video to clarify some things later. But so far, everyone seems to be doing pretty well. Some groups are a little bit more active than others, but just keep moving forward and doing what you need to do in order to fulfill your part of that presentation. I hope all of you have a great spring break, and I look forward to getting back to work when we come back on the 20th. All right, see you later.